All right, so let's get things started. I was probably considered a late addition to the roster if you were paying attention to your social media posts from Keystone. My name is Hurston Fales. Yes, Fales is my actual last name. If you want to know the backstory on that, I will gladly give it to you at the end if we have time. Um, but as it says there, I am a creative problem solver and a curious nerd. And so I'm going to explain what that is with the next slide. Who am I? So like I said, Hurston Fales. I'm originally from North Carolina. I was born in DC. My dad was a minister. And so he moved us from Washington, D.C. in the 80s to North Carolina because it was Washington, D.C. in the 80s. And it was a challenging time in the city to be able to raise young children. And so my dad asked at the time a bishop, because he was an AME pastor, if we could move somewhere else. And North Carolina is where we landed. So I grew up primarily in the Triad area, Winston-Salem, High Point, and Greensboro. And I graduated from North Carolina A&T State University and HBCU, which Craig spoke of earlier in terms of recruitment. I did not get my degree in engineering. My degree is in graphic communications. So it's essentially graphic design with a technical emphasis. And what I learned there kind of set me on my current path. It taught me to be very fluid. It taught me to be able to be resilient and resourceful. And so all of that's led up to where I am now. So currently I work at UMB Bank. I'm a senior digital designer. So if you've gone to umb.com with, let's say, since early 2019, you have probably clicked on a button that I laid out or designed or placed on that webpage. And if you want to see something more current, I think this coming Friday, a motion graphic that I designed for Private Wealth will be on display at the sporting game. And if you go down to Overland Park and you're at the new or the reopened branch on like 83rd, roughly in Metcalf, that enormous image in the backdrop, I took a picture of that with our drone at the bank. And so I do a pretty wide array of things. And when I'm not working there, I do everything from 3D design to web design to brand and identity design. And I am a huge nerd when it comes to emerging tech. There are a few people in this room who I have talked with for hours about this. And so I decided, why not put some of what we talk about in our conversation into something that happens to a larger group of people. And so I want to talk about emerging tech. Now, I heard a lot from the previous presentations about emerging tech. And by that, I mean AI, blockchain, development. I'm also talking about some things that deal with potentially 3D modeling and the like. And we're going to get to what my goals are here in a moment. So let's set some expectations. One of the things I didn't mention before is for a brief period of time, I worked at the Apple store in Leawood. So some of you, if you ever came in there, probably 2009 to 2011, you might have run into me teaching you how to use your new iPad or potentially selling a new MacBook Pro to you. I wanted to make sure that, just like then, I set expectations early. So let's get these out of the way. Goals. At a high level, I want to talk about what these technologies are. Most of you will know what they are, but I actually invited some people here this evening that may want some clarification. Come on up and find a table with some folks. Yep. Yep. This table has a couple of seats open, I think. I want to explore some of the myths and reservations. So, again, being the son of a minister, I am going to expect, hopefully, that you all interact with me just as much as I am interacting with you. I have no intentions of speaking at you, and I will talk a bit more about that in a couple of moments. And inspiring action by exploring opportunities. That is the entire point of Keystone. In many conversations I've had with Kevin, that's what he wants. So hopefully this evening we will start that ball rolling if it hasn't already begun in your respective lives and careers. What I will do, or what I will want to happen, is questions, and more questions. If you have questions about things, please raise your hand. Please say something out loud. Oftentimes in technology, we have acronyms, we have terms. We tend to talk at people and talk over your heads about things that you are confused about. Many people are concerned that saying something about it somehow makes them look not so intelligent, not so smart. I want you to raise your hand and say, I don't know what that term means. And if you hear someone else yell out a term, please raise your hand and say, I don't know what that term means. Do not be embarrassed. It's important that we all learn in here this evening. I also want you all to share your experiences. A couple of the people that I invited actually have a wealth of knowledge in the areas that I'm speaking about, and I wholly expect them to say something out loud about it and ask questions and even pose some thoughts, because that'll allow us all to grow at the same time. And then offering encouragement. With that, it means if you hear something and it sounds like maybe someone is a little off in what they're saying, or if you appreciate something that someone is saying, feel free to clap. It's okay. I want you to kind of break out of the traditional norms of these type of conversations, because I want to be engaged with you this evening. Now, what I won't do, I won't talk at you. And again, I put in parentheses much. This is as much as I really want to talk at you this evening. I really hope that this is actually a conversation. This is not an invitation for Stump the Chump. I do a lot of rabbit holing on a lot of these topics. I dig really, really deep, oftentimes hours on end. My wife can tell you, she's sitting right there. And I will be up till 1 to 2 in the morning trying to better understand, why is it that this particular cryptocurrency is going up and the other is going down? Does it have something to do with layer 1 or layer 2? If you don't know what any of that means, perfect. Tonight is for you. But I'm trying to explore those things to have a depth of knowledge so I can be a resource to people that I run into. Lastly, I want you to leave, I don't want anybody to leave here without some type of idea or some level of curiosity. For most of us who are working either 9-to-5 jobs, or even if we're working in an entrepreneurial state, we've kind of abandoned curiosity. We get hyper-focused on very specific things, and we forget how to use our imaginations. That's the reason why I wanted everybody to move at a table with multiple people, because I'm going to encourage you all to not only have conversations and take notes, but to come up with a couple of ideas at each table before we leave here. And whether you actually execute it or not is not the point. This is about exercise. I want us to get back in the habit of using our brains to imagine things again, so that maybe, hopefully, one of these tables will come up with an idea that they decide to expound on and expand into a fully realized idea and concept. Does that make sense to everybody? That's not loud enough. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes. Okay, cool. Thank you. I will expect more noise than that in the near future. All right, let's talk tech. Side note, I learned off of Instagram how to integrate 3D models into PowerPoint, and then I went crazy. So that's what you're going to see up here tonight. So if you're looking at this and you're like, what is that? This is PowerPoint. It's wild, right? You remember PowerPoint when you just had to click and had like Times New Roman, that's all you had? Not anymore. Apparently you can do 3D models. I will. We can talk about that. So VR, AR, MR, virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality. Raise your hand if you know what that is. Hi, so I can see them. Okay, raise your hand if you're like, what are you talking about right now? Oh, raise them high. That's fine. Okay, cool. So let's start with VR. Who knows VR? Who's familiar with VR? Gentleman who raised his hand first. Yes. Can you break down what VR is? Awesome. 100%. It's an immersive experience. What about augmented reality? Who is familiar with AR? Craig too. I'm only calling you Craig too because you said you were backup Craig. Absolutely. And MR, mixed reality. Who is familiar with that? Yes. Gentlemen, what's your name? Cody. Awesome. Cody, how does mixed reality work? Thank you. Very quick. Okay, so VR, AR, MR. Sometimes you'll see MX. Sometimes you'll see XR. These are terms that I'm putting out there that also represent mixed reality. So if you see those out there, those are some of the terms that correlate to what you're seeing up here. Are there any other terms that I did not mention that are associated with this that you've probably heard in the news recently? Metaverse. Okay. Who understands what the metaverse is? Raise your hand high. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So, metaverse became a coined term, co opted by Facebook, I believe. They may have even registered a trademark, probably. The idea is to be able to blend these experiences into a singular experience so that you can actually do what they call, air quotes, real work, right? So being able to build models to construct things in a virtual reality situation, maybe having it appear using augmented reality, maybe something marker based or something that's just suspended based off your location, and mixed reality would blend the two so you all can collaborate and talk about them. Now, the metaverse is also expanded into something where you can make money. How many people know that? Raise your hand. Okay, how do you make money in the metaverse? Yes. Digital real estate. Who knows what that means? Okay, a couple of people. So digital real estate, there are literally worlds where people are selling digital real estate in different environments for real money in like the actual world. Does that sound crazy to anybody? Yes. Okay. That's all right. The reason that I'm bringing that up is because I want this to be kind of a catalyst for you to go and begin to do some research in these spaces. I'm a person that believes the lowest hanging fruit feeds the most people. A lot of times you'll be talked out of situations by the media and news because it seems like a scary thing. But I think that it's worth it to go and do some research into these different items as we talk about these emerging technologies, because in there will be opportunities for you to potentially capitalize. Also, it may help when your niece or nephew comes up to you and tells you that they bought a block of something in Roblox, and then you'll actually know what that means. So it's worth it to go and do the research and dig into that. Now, opportunities. We've already talked about virtual real estate. What other opportunities would there be in this segment? Mixed reality, augmented reality, virtual reality. Yes, sir. Okay, absolutely. So continuing the ecosystem for software development. Who else has some ideas on what could be some potential opportunities using these technologies? Now that we know what they are, we know what virtual reality is, we know what augmented reality is, and we know what mixed reality is. What are some other opportunities? Yes? All of the above, yes. Okay, fantastic. And yes, prototyping. Absolutely. So if you haven't started yet, please break out a notepad or your phone and start taking notes, because people here are making fantastic suggestions on opportunities that exist in each space. And I agree with all of those. One other thing that I really love, especially about augmented reality, you can essentially take anything visual, anything digital, and you can layer reality on top of it. It is a concept called marker-based augmented reality. So essentially, take any image, take this logo, take my slide. There are applications right now. There is a company called Eighth Wall. So if you haven't heard of it, please write it down. It's worth it to do the research. Eighth Wall is a browser-based augmented reality company. So essentially, they have their own SDK, they have their own development environment. Anybody in here can go, you can buy a license, and you can actually start attaching augmented reality experiences with templates that they've already built to things that you may have already designed. This may also be great for any additional collateral that you're putting out for your company or your business. So imagine you create a flyer and you take a video of yourself, And instead of it just being a piece of flat media, when you put it on a counter, someone can scan it with their phone and you come up and you explain your company. How powerful would that be? There you go. Thank you. I appreciate the snaps. Actually, yeah, let's do that. So if you hear something you like, snap. Thank you. She set the bar. All right. So that's a fantastic opportunity with augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality. So we have prototyping. We have layering onto existing creative, including your marketing. We also have the opportunity to blend different environments and to continue to take advantage of back-end systems with software development. So there's a little bit of something for everybody there. And then we also talked about virtual real estate, which I think is highly worth looking into, okay? We'll do some more opportunities later on. Is that cool? All right, on to artificial intelligence. Who knows what this is? Yes, what is that? Looks like a dog. Okay. I saw another hand. Who knows what that is? Boston Dynamics. This is a mock-up or a 3D rendering of Spot. So Boston Dynamics has released a virtual dog of sorts, or a robotic dog. You've probably seen it in a bunch of videos, maybe doing the twist or something. I don't know. Boston Dynamics is unique that way. And so I use this as a representation of what artificial intelligence is capable of, but this is barely scratching the surface. So who is familiar with artificial intelligence? I know a couple people here already. Raise your hand high. Okay, what do you know about artificial intelligence? Yes. Sure. Okay. Most people don't, but you've started the ball rolling. Did you want to chime in as well? Absolutely. And what's layered into artificial intelligence? What are the options and the opportunities that are layered into artificial intelligence? Just yell it out, raise your hand if you have something. Yes. Adaptability, full automation. What else do we have? High-speed computing. What else do we have? Natural language understanding. Okay, by now, if you've heard anything that you don't know, please write it down and then research it later, because a lot of the people that are talking are in the space. Okay, what other things are there in artificial intelligence? Object recognition. Okay, what else? Prediction. Nice. What else? Sentiment analysis. Who knows what sentiment analysis is? Raise your hand. Who doesn't know what sentiment analysis is? Okay. Lewis, can you break down what sentiment analysis is for us in the context of AI? Oh, you don't know. Okay, who does know? Yes.
So it's analyzing a group of text or a video or something and pulling the emotion out of it and then giving the sentiment words. So if you read something, I am pissed off at you, a sentiment analysis algorithm would come back and say that person is mad at you. A lot of automated customer service agents do this. Apple does this. If you get pissed off at their automated system, it will say, it seems like you're kind of upset right now. Would you like to call back later? And that's sentiment analysis type of algorithm that's doing that.
It's the worst. Why is it the worst? I'm just curious. Okay. So if I were to rephrase that, you can feel the disconnection, right? You can tell you don't really care that I'm angry. You can just identify with the fact that I am based off of my tone. Right. Okay, sentiment analysis. What else? Large language models. Who knows what that means? Of course, Cody. I'm guessing Cody is an expert in this. Large language models. Cody, break it down for us. Hey, man, you raised your hand. Nice. Nice. Awesome. Now, where have we seen that before? What Cody just explained. Where have we seen that implemented? Yes, ma'am. Emails. If you've sent anything in Gmail recently, you will notice that it will finish your thoughts as you're typing them and basically say, just press tab and it'll just fill in the whole line. It's almost to the point where it fills out the entire email, including punctuation. And it kind of knows how you feel. Back to sentiment analysis. If you're upset, it will throw an exclamation point on there. It's wild. Now, there may have been something in the news or some things in the news that you've heard about recently. They talk about it nonstop. If you've paid attention to any news in the last 3 months, they have mentioned it 17 times. Chat GPT. Who knows what Chat GPT is? Raise your hand. Who doesn't know what Chat GPT is? Okay, raise your hand again if you know what Chat GPT is. I know Cody knows. I'm going to give Cody a reprieve. James, Chat GPT, what is it? Absolutely. Now, who has heard all the negative things about Chat GPT? Raise your hand. Hi. All of them. Or most of them. 2 of them. Three of them. If you've heard 3 negative things about Chat GPT, raise your hand. Okay. What's the negative thing you've heard the most about Chat GPT? Earmuffs, kids. Yes. Ethical concerns. In what regard? Okay. There's a little bias in there. I'm understanding that. Chat GPT came back and said that. Okay. What other things? Because that is 100% correct. That's been one of them. One of the many ethical concerns of Chat GPT. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, how has that been working out? From what I've heard, not well. Yes, sir. Yes, yes, sir. Privacy and data security. James. And yes, that is 100% true. Now, raise your hand if you've actually used Chat GPT. Awesome. So if you have not used Chat GPT yet, I would highly recommend you go and give it a look and you try it out. Now, I'm not telling you to try it out despite all of the things that you've heard. I'm telling you to try it out because there are, in fact, opportunities in AI. So you're going to hear throughout with the news, you're going to hear about everything negative that can possibly happen with these technologies. But let's talk about what are the opportunities now. Now that we know what ChatGPT is, we know at a high level what most artificial intelligence technologies are. What are the opportunities in AI, in that space? Yes, sir. Okay. So prompting engineers in the context of what they're working on and giving them something tangible that they can use in their pursuits, their projects, whatever it is. Is that correct? Am I some? Okay. 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 So we're going to pause for a second. Raise your hand if you've heard of a prompt engineer. All right. Four, five people. Cool. What degree do you need to be a prompt engineer? Open AI. So I would call that an opportunity. That tells me that pretty much anybody in here, if you got really well versed in constructing really strong prompts, you could possibly either leverage it for your own business or sell that service to other businesses who need it, right? And you can say on LinkedIn, prompt engineer, and you'll probably get harassed by a lot of recruiters looking for prompt engineers right now. Who all is familiar? Because Midjourney was brought up. Who's familiar with Midjourney? Raise your hand high. Okay, me and okay, the usual suspects. Okay, cool. So Midjourney is, what's the best way to say this? It is a image generator, and please forgive me because I'm really reducing this, but at a very high level, it can generate images, as it was stated before, based off of prompts that you input, and you can get really, really sophisticated in what you ask for. One of the things I highly encourage is that you look at Midjourney's Discord and you just watch people put in prompts to see how insanely detailed they get and look at the results, because that's the beauty of that platform on Discord. Once you start adding it in, it will show you images generated by other creators and you can see how detailed they've gotten or how minimalist they've gotten. So it's not as simple as, well, it can be. You can say, give me a cat, and it will generate random cats. But if you say generate 8K, ultra high resolution, cat going into battle, fighting against aliens, riding a dog into battle with armor gilded as if it came from the 12th century, it will start to generate that image and you will be surprised at the results you get. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I have seen prompts that look like an essay. What was the question? Why not? Why would you not want to do that? Who doesn't want to see a cat riding a dog into battle against aliens? Oh, just me? Oh, okay, never mind. Okay. Well, if you see me on there, you see my random prompts, don't judge me. Okay, cool. You're in there too? Awesome. We need to find each other in there. So Midjourney is a fantastic tool for that. So we've talked about ChatGPT. I'm going to toss out a couple of other ones that maybe we haven't talked about that I think that require a little less sophistication but can give you some tremendous advantages. You can use ChatGPT to learn a foreign language. ChatGPT now has the ability to teach you other languages. In fact, there are some ways to build in plugins and it will talk back to you so it's conversational. Yeah. So you could become a polyglot thanks to ChatGPT. Who knows what a polyglot is? No one? Okay, it's a person that speaks multiple languages. Typically like more than 4. There's a lot of really great polyglots. Check out YouTube and just search polyglots. You'll be surprised at how many people can speak a bunch of random languages. So ChatGPT can help you with that. If you want to get into development, even at a basic level, if you're just like, I just want to know how this website works, you can enter in some information into ChatGPT and say, teach me basic HTML, and it will do that. It will show you how to do that. If you have some young people you're around that want to get started into coding, things of that nature, they can learn all types of programming languages in ChatGPT. And what's really cool is you can take code in one language, put it in ChatGPT and say, now make this C++ for me. And it will generate the C++ version. So now you can learn multiple coding languages just like you can learn multiple verbal languages. Now, this is probably not something you're going to hear on the news, because what they're going to say is, be afraid of it, copyright infringement, theft, run for the hills, it's taking your jobs. I would say, check it out, go look at it, and I'll give one reason why, and then I'll move on to blockchain. I fell for a lot of the duping that many of us have fallen for. When the iPhone was initially announced, I also thought, who would want to use a phone with a touchscreen and then buy apps? Fortunately for me, it was not my job on the line. It was some people at Sprint's job on the line. I hope they're not in here. I'm sorry if you are. Sprint had first right of refusal on the iPhone. I know that because I worked at the Apple store and I was told the story of how Apple went to Sprint and said, hey, we have this thing called the iPhone. And they were like, what is it? And they said, it's a touchscreen device and you're going to buy apps. And they said, that's dumb. No one wants to buy apps or touch a screen. Everyone wants to press buttons. That's why the BlackBerry is going to be dominant. Long story less long. Sprint didn't fulfill the contract. It went over to AT&T. AT&T became the #1 provider of cellular service for like 9 years because they had first right of refusal on the iPhone. So the iPhone could only be accessed on AT&T for like 5 years. They dominated, to say the least. I fell for it again with the iPad. So here's a little piece to look at. When people are telling you to run, be scared, it's going to replace you, don't do things, you might want to take a deeper look into it, because typically that's where a lot of the opportunity exists. And let's just say there are some people right now who are millionaires because they made a fart app on the iPhone. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. Yes. Yes, that is a great question. To me, the way you begin to broach the topic, and I am open to anybody else's suggestions, but my 1.5 cents is, one, use one of the services first. Encourage them to use it, and you use it as well. Use it in downtime. Just play around in the space so you're just vaguely familiar with how it works, because that is a real concern. Then take a look at the job that it could potentially be replacing. And we talked about prompt engineering, right? We talked about how it didn't require a degree. So my advice to that person who's feeling that fear and that angst, sometimes you got to walk them over to the computer, bring the laptop to them, bring the iPad to them, say, hey, check this out. This is ChatGPT. Let's put in a prompt and see what happens, right? Let's start that process. And then that can start the conversation. And now you reframe the thinking from, this is going to replace me, to, oh, I can see my place in this. That's what we have to start doing, especially those of us who are more tech savvy. We have to be willing to reach out that proverbial olive branch and help guide people into these experiences. Because again, the media is going to tell everybody to be afraid. We already know that. That's starting the process. That's starting the mental indoctrination, right? That's starting the negative speak. But now that you've been here and you know about the tools, you know how they're used, and you're in the room with experts, link up with these people and figure out, how does this work? Please talk to Cody. Talk to Lewis. Talk to Craig too. What's your name, sir? Talk to Rich. They are a wealth of knowledge in these spaces. Go ahead and link up with them to figure out how that looks. And then as you get around people who are saying these things, encourage them to do it. And it helps if you can say, I've done it, right? Because now, oh, okay, I trust you as a resource. I'm glad that you're showing me this. That's the way we start to look at this differently. Because as much as we want to fight it, it's already here and it's happening and it's going fast. And the truth is, if you don't get involved, yeah, it might replace you. But if you get in there and you learn 3 languages, it might not, right? So I think that's the way, in my opinion, that's one of the ways, the many ways we can broach that topic. And that's a great question. All right, blockchain. Raise your hand if you've heard of blockchain. Awesome. Raise your hand. Cody has. Raise your hand if you've heard of Bitcoin. Okay, who knows what blockchain is? Yes. Yes. Snaps? We getting snaps? Okay, cool. That is what it is. What is the benefit of blockchain in the current landscape of technology? Immutable. Does everybody know what immutable means? No? Immutable means can't be changed. Who knows why it can't be changed? Absolutely. And what happens in most cases, not all, I know there's been some hacks, but what happens in most cases when you attempt to alter the chain? It doesn't go through. It rejects whatever it is that you're trying to put on the chain. Now, what is Bitcoin? Yes. Oh, okay, wait. Before you answer. High level version. We can get deep. I've talked to you. It gets deep. Give me high level. Okay. So not high level. Okay, who can give me higher level? Digital currency. All right. Digital currency. Cool. The thing about Bitcoin, I think it's gotten a bad rap because I don't think people truly understand what kind of value it adds in the context of the blockchain. Bitcoin, in my opinion, and please correct me if you feel like I'm wrong, because I am not above correction. I look at Bitcoin as a value store, much like gold, much like palladium, much like platinum, right? There's going to be a finite amount of it mined, and once it hits the top or the end, which allegedly is in like 3 or 4 years, that'll be all that's mined. And then it's just a value store. You can actually translate your real money into Bitcoin and it will stay there. Now, what's the top advantage of cryptocurrencies versus, say, stocks? Liquidity. Stocks still have liquidity. Finite number. What else? Cryptography for security. What else? Public. What else? Transparent. What else? Say again. Orderless. Okay. What else? Decentralized. Okay, absolutely. The other thing that gives it a bit of an advantage, fractional. You can be a fractional player in cryptocurrency, unlike in most cases with stock, with the exception of going through like a Robinhood or maybe a Coinbase, an intermediary, but you have the opportunity to get fractional pieces of a cryptocurrency. And that's one of the cool things that's an advantage, but most importantly, the decentralization of it, meaning it doesn't exist only in one place. There's not typically one controller of it. Does that mean that there's not somebody with a ton of it? Absolutely not. There's a 19-year-old who went crazy with their allowance back in 2010. and their parents have not been able to figure out why they have not asked for a gift. Probably Cody. Why they have not asked for a gift in like 10 years. Because they didn't need one. So, blockchain, we've talked about a high level, distributed ledger. We've talked about all of the provisions that give it security. Is there more information on this? That's rhetorical. There is. There actually is. The terms with blockchain are absolutely mind-numbing. Now, I don't want you to be discouraged by that. You know what you could do? Go to ChatGPT and say, ChatGPT, what are the most popular terms for blockchain? And it will feed you back a list of some of the most popular terms. Then what I would do is, for any of those terms on that list that don't make sense, copy it and paste it and say, ChatGPT, what is this? And then it will tell you what that thing is and what it means. That's one of the ways to actually use the tools outside of the scope of copyright infringement and biases, because typically it doesn't inject bias into that information. It helps you better understand what that is. Think of ChatGPT in the context of being used as a tool that can help you better understand things that maybe are a bit more confusing. And I find it to be quite a bit more concise than a Google search. Anybody else agree with that? Who's used it? Absolutely. I love the speed of it, but I also love how concise it is. You're not searching through 17 results and going to fuzzycatguy.net who's trying to tell you what it is and they have no clue. It actually is quite a bit more concise. So I would admonish you to do that. Now, myths about blockchain. Any myths that are out there that people have heard? Yes, and I laugh every time I see it. I'm like, how many? We've seen it so much in movies. I know what happens in real life. What was the company that lost like multiple million, like they lost racks of money? Do y'all remember that story? Probably not. It was like a blip on the radar. $200 million on pallets, cash just went missing. And they never followed up on what happened to it. It's just gone. And nobody ever said what happened to the money. And then the story disappeared. So to your point, yes, that more crimes happen with that than with cash is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. What other myths have we heard? All blockchain is public. Why is that a myth? Awesome. Private blockchains and hybrid blockchains. We're actually starting to see that kind of happen more and more in corporations, especially like financial institutions. They're turning to constructing virtual currencies. Most recently, I saw that there's a federal-esque entity that's supposed to be using like USDC, a coin, a stable coin. Who knows what a stable coin is? What is a stable coin? And yes, and what does a stablecoin do in the context of cryptocurrency? There you go. Low volatility. It doesn't go up and down, up and down. So unlike like Bitcoin might be, well, we've seen it as high as $63,000 a coin at one point, and now it's 28,000, I think, unless it dropped again. So that level of volatility doesn't typically exist with a stable coin. It kind of bounces between, maybe as low as like 86 cents, maybe up to and a little bit above $1.15. So the idea is to stay pretty level with the US dollar. Yeah, and I've seen a lot of times like companies, if you're actually investing in a cryptocurrency early, they want you to buy a stable coin as the conduit to purchase their coin, just so that you get that one-to-one. Because typically what happens with cryptocurrency is you lose money on what are called gas fees. Raise your hand if you know what a gas fee is. Raise your hand if you don't know what a gas fee is. Okay, who said they knew what a gas fee was? James, what's a gas fee? Absolutely. And the thing about a gas fee is that it fluctuates greatly based on a bunch of metrics that we do not have time to go over. But if we went super high level, it's, does the provider like the coin that you're providing for? Because I know that gas fees can fluctuate that way. And then the price of typically Ethereum. Who knows what Ethereum is? Raise your hand. Hi. Okay, who doesn't know what Ethereum is? You can, if you don't know what Ethereum is, you okay. So no, okay. So who knows? Do you know? Yes. So Ethereum is a cryptocurrency, but what else is Ethereum? It's Bitcoin's baby. Some people call it that. Okay. So Ethereum can also act as like a platform. It's typically the springing off point for a lot of the coins that you see released. More recently, Bitcoin has been doing BRC20 coins. If you see an ERC20, the E stands for Ethereum. And then it gets more complicated from there if you start talking about 20 versus 21, 22. And now you're talking about layering, and ask ChatGPT for clarification on that. Okay, opportunities in the blockchain. Let's talk about them as quickly as we can. What opportunities? Lewis. That sounds very specific. Do you happen to know anybody who's doing that right now? Something like that? That's crazy. Who's doing that? Oh, Lewis, you're doing, okay, cool. Shameless plug. I low-key knew that too. We've had in-depth conversations about it. Cool. So housing records and things dealing with real estate. Yes. Mm. Absolutely. So being able to restabilize economically destabilized countries. Absolutely. Why not? Create a coin that then gets backed, and as long as the people in that environment, that community agree upon it, you can do transactions utilizing that coin and have it cross barriers in other countries. So absolutely. I saw another hand. Okay, I'll try to get to everybody. I'll go in a semicircle. Yes, sir. Issuing corporate stock. Of course. Why not? Why not have an immutable record that shows that you are the owner and stakeholder of said amount of stock? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I'm from North Carolina. I'm sorry. I say ma'am. Yes. And there's a cool feature called multi-sig, if you have not heard about it. So essentially multi-signature is what it stands for. Basically, someone can't just do a transaction with your crypto. It's tied to a couple of different keys. And think of it, okay, I know that government's listening anyway. Think of it like the key to nuclear bombs. You need multiple people to enact them for them to work simultaneously. And if you don't have both of them, then nothing happens. So multi-sig can help protect your crypto and your blockchain based solutions, because you can have multiple. Basically, there has to be an agreement between multiple entities, and all of them have wallets, crypto wallets. Yes, sir. Absolutely. So you've probably heard of NFTs. That's non-fungible tokens. They've gotten a bad rap because there's, like in anything, there have been a lot of people, snake oil salesmen, who got super rich off of a JPEG of a cat. I don't know why I'm harping on cats. I'm really a dog person, but on a picture of a cat, and without being able to 100% validate it and verify it, people have gotten really, really wealthy off of that. But it's pictures that can be reproduced. So NFTs, absolutely. But at their core, NFTs can help provide artists who would normally not have royalties continue to receive them as their works get traded over and over again. And there is an opportunity and a solution in there that somebody could potentially build that actually hooks it to something physical so people can continue to get paid off of their work, right? So that's another advantage of blockchain. There's a ton of other ones. Don't have time now because I'm trying to wrap things up. But these are the opportunities that exist in all these emerging techs. And I would encourage you to use some of the things that we've talked about tonight to do deeper dives into how these technologies can help move things forward, including yourself and your career. Why not do what you're currently doing, but also become a prompt engineer, right? Because to be able to have that skill and have that transfer to somewhere else, or even be able to use that in the capacity of being a consultant, could be highly lucrative, especially right now when everybody's trying to figure out how to do it. If you can master basically how well you chain words together to make them spit out results that people want, it can not only help you, but it can help a bunch of other people as well in the space. We've talked about solutions. Does everybody have at least one solution that they've written down that we've talked about this evening? Raise your hand if you have a solution written down. Copied, put in your phone, typed out, an idea, a thought. Okay, I don't see everybody's hands. Just see a few people's hands. Okay, thank you, Craig. 2 hands for me. All right, I appreciate that. That was one of the goals. I wanted you to have some idea, some thought of how you can use these emerging technologies in the near future, maybe even tonight, to try to advance whatever it is that you're working on. There's deeper conversations to have on this. I'm glad to have them with you. And if you want to do that, you can use your phone and scan this QR code. So take a moment if you have a phone with a camera, go ahead and grab that. So this will allow you to get in contact with me. If you have some other questions, some other thoughts, some things you want to explore, by all means. I also love Link because I don't have to carry around a bunch of business cards anymore. And I'm not going to take full credit. My wife, who is sitting here, she actually introduced me to Link. And now I have a Link card and I have a Link bracelet. And it's a really cool tool. You can utilize it instead of business cards that will get probably dropped on the floor and not remembered. This can allow you to get direct connections that people can reach out to you and contact with you. And on there is my LinkedIn page, I believe Instagram. And then I do have a YouTube channel. It's about coffee and tea. If you're interested, check it out. And then there's other ways to get in direct contact with me using Link if you have any other questions. All right, bonus. I'm not going to go crazy on this. 3D printing. Not enough people talk about 3D printing. It's a fantastic way to be able to generate additional income if you can get into the space. If you're looking for software to utilize for it, Blender, go ahead and make a note of Blender. It does have a little bit of a learning ramp, but the beauty is YouTube has a treasure trove of videos of people who are just fantastic at using this software. I use their videos to design this award. So this was an award that I designed for a nonprofit organization. It has been printed in real life and will be printed in metal here shortly. This part will be steel and that pencil will be titanium. And then they'll put it together, and then they've already got an award recipient. So they'll be presenting that award to a gentleman and potentially anyone down the line. At a high level, you can create models and get them printed out. There are a ton of terms to talk about, but I don't want to eat up any more of you all's clock. So again, with that link address, if you have questions about 3D printing, I will gladly break that stuff down to you. And point you in the direction of some really good resources if you're trying to learn it. You may also be able to put the information in the chat GPT and it will point you to great resources as well. And a very cool opportunity outside of awards, if you like jewelry and you want to do something really unique for someone, you can create a custom piece of jewelry. A nice little trinket, a custom ring, a custom bracelet. Pretty much anything physical that you can think of manifesting, you can 3D print. I'm actually considering making some glasses. And so these are the type of things that I think through as opportunities. And if you're trying to figure out how you can leverage any of the things we've talked about tonight, refer back to the notes that you've taken, and then ask some of these people before you head out about what they're doing. So please talk to Lewis, please talk to James, please talk to Craig, Cody. Give me your name again, sir. Rich, and anybody else who's in this space. Please reach out to any of these individuals. And if you're one of the individuals who understands this stuff, inform people. That's what I would encourage you to do. I appreciate you taking the time out this evening, and I hope that you learned something from this, and I hope you have a great evening.